Still. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:04. It's with great respect and humility that we acknowledge and honor the lands of the Snuneymuxw people. The Snuneymuxw people maintain their profound, unique, and spiritual connection to the land through ageless traditions, teachings, stewardship, and expressions of reciprocity. Also acknowledging that we serve in the traditional territories of Snuneymuxw and Stoneymuxw peoples, and we're very grateful to be here this evening. As you'll notice, as some of our presenters and trustees, staff members come on the screen today, it's Pink Shirt Day. And it's that one day of the year where we all get together and acknowledge that bullying exists and that we can do what we can as individuals to make a difference each day. And I would be remiss if I didn't remind us that this day is Canadian and it was started by students. And I think given that we serve students, that acknowledgement is important to make, and also to acknowledge that we can't let a day go by where we're not doing something about bullying, especially as it relates to homophobia and transphobia. And so I appreciate the time just to be able to take that moment of acknowledgement this evening and really just acknowledge that it's every day that we need to be kind to one another. This year's theme being lift each other up, and in these times it's something that's very necessary and needed. And with that, we'll move into our agenda. Item 2 on the agenda, we do have a transfer of items to the open meeting agenda. Pay equity will go on the agenda under 15.1 under new business. It's the only addition I have this evening. Are there any other additions, deletions, or change in order to the agenda? Seeing none, is there any objection to the agenda? With no objections, the agenda is approved. Approval of the minutes under section 7, that the minutes from the regular board meeting held on January 27th, 2021 be adopted. Are there any changes or a mover? They're moved by trustee Barron. Is there a second? By trustee Stanley. Is there any objection to the approval of the minutes? The minutes are approved. Moving into section 8. Section 72.3 reports that the section 72.3 report from the closed board meeting on January 27th, 2021 and the special closed board meetings on February 8th, 2021 and February 17th, 2021 be received. Is there a mover? Moved by trustee Keller, seconded by trustee Stanley. Is there any objection? Seeing none, the motion carries. Announcements and reminders. The Education Committee and the Business Committee will be held on March 3rd, 2021. The Education Committee will begin at 4 p.m. with the Business Committee following at 6 p.m. The Board of Education meeting will occur on March 10th, and spring break for schools will begin March 13th until March 28th. Statutory holidays also to be considered as we return from spring break will be on April 2nd, 2021 and Easter Monday, April 5th, 2021. And with that, I'd like to introduce our presenter this evening, Dr. Arruda. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
There. Hello. Thank you very much, Charlene, and thank you very much for giving me a few minutes on your agenda tonight. I think I can't see everyone, but I think I know some of you. If I don't know you, then I'm Wilma Arruda. I'm a pediatrician. I've worked in this community for a good number of years, and I have presented to the board before, but this time I'll try and keep it quite brief. I wanted to inform the board that members of the school district were presented with a very special award this past year It took some time for this to kind of get around to us because, as we all know, everything went virtual this year, and the Canadian Pediatric Society annual conference, which occurs in June, did not happen. And so we only received the award by Zoom ceremony in December. So here, this first slide will basically describe to you that the award is the Canadian Social Pediatrics Award, and it's presented by the Janus Korczak Association of Canada and the Canadian Pediatric Society. And the award is specifically presented to teams, so not to me, but to me and my teams, or your teams and me. And specifically, those teams are the folks at the Wellness Center, so John Barsby Secondary School Wellness Center, and of course the Nanaimo Aquatic Wellness Center, which of course used to be in NDSS. The other team that was awarded this award was the team that I have with me when I go to schools and provide pediatric consultations within the schools. And I call that program Seeing the Invisible Children because it's really focused on supporting those children who can't access healthcare in the sort of typical ways of accessing healthcare. So the children and their families are needing this extra support. You can change the slide. So the award specifically says that it is for working towards improving children's rights in ways that encourage love for children, listening to children, fostering healthy children's lives, and building capacities in children. And it's in the spirit of Dr. Korczak, and I don't know if any of you know of Dr. Korczak, but I would encourage you to look up the Janus Korczak Association of Canada. Dr. Korczak is remembered for his time being the principal of orphanages in Warsaw during the war, and he refused to relinquish that duty and went with his children to the camps and perished. So he is considered the father of social pediatrics, and so this is quite an honor to receive this award. And I wanted to take a few minutes today. You can change the slide, please. I want to take a few minutes tonight. I know this is very, very busy, but I highlighted in white the folks from the school district that were really important in making sure that these teams function. And so in the first slide there, the John Barsby Wellness Center is highlighted because, of course, there's so much great support from school and school involvement within that wellness center. So that's really, fantastic that we have all of those supports. On the other side, we have the Pediatric Consultation Service, which I am involved with, and I just identified the school district people that were really important there. So Cindy Ashby, Child Youth Family Support Worker at Georgia Avenue. I think she's moved on to something else at this point. Bob Essinger, who you all I know, and Kirsten Funky Robinson. At the time, she was one of the school psychologists, and I know she's moved to administrative role now. And of course, Lynn Brown, who's a manager with mental health and addictions with School District 68. So just really wanted to shout out for these people because they won this award and they are part of these teams. So I really wanted the board to be aware of this great work that people are doing. If you could change the slide. So I took a couple photographs. With COVID, with the pandemic, we can't do anything like we used to, and so I grabbed a mask and ran to John Barsby Wellness Center and took a photo, and I put that one framed certificate within John Barsby Wellness Center. So if you go there, you'll see it on the wall. And then the other picture on my right is a picture of me at Pleasant Valley Elementary School with Principal Diane McGonigal. And the reason why this was really important to me is that even though Diane McGonigal wasn't one of the people in white on the previous slide, it was because of Diane that actually these two programs ever started in the first place. She was really crucial in, me getting to know her, us doing work together, and her facilitating the first discussions with respect to the Wellness Center development. So I really want to just make sure that her involvement is highlighted here. And next slide. So this is just a little piece of information, and I guess just to celebrate that we actually have moved to the next level in all of this. And interestingly, because of the pandemic, I was able to apply for special funding. And we've developed what we call the Primary Care Child, Youth and Family Service. And this is a service that is primary care directed, but it is a service that is for children and families that are identified by schools that are in need of health services. They don't have a family doctor, they have trouble accessing a family physician, and aren't really receiving appropriate health care. And these schools are referring them to this program, and these children, youth, and their families are being seen by a primary care physician. And we have, it's in the very early stages. We only just kind of started running in January. We've had, I believe, 2 or 3 clinics at this time. And so far, we're just hearing lots of great responses from being able to provide this really important service. And it's really just to support, stabilizing medical, psychological, and social challenges in these families. And the family physician, Dr. Kevin Martin, is really wanting to create a care plan, a health care plan that these families can have, and they can be accessible, wherever they go to in Island Health, so people are aware of what their issues might be. We also have social work support for this, so that makes it a really valuable service. And I think that might be the last slide. Oh, yeah, thank you. So I don't know if you can, still see me, but I have a version of this for all of you, for the school, the district, I guess, and I will bring it to the school district office, and I hope that, you will have a place to put that up somewhere. So
thank you very much.
Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you. We will hang that with, it would be an honor to be able to hang that and share it with everyone who comes into our offices. I can't thank you enough for the work that you do in our district. I'm a little bit surprised my voice has come back as you were talking about Mrs. McGonigal, one of our principals. It amazes me to see, maybe amazes is not the right word. It's an honor to see our employees and our staff members acknowledged for the work that we know they're doing, and to see them acknowledged from another organization is really impressive, and the award means quite a bit to me on behalf of the board. With that, I will allow anybody to ask any questions before we let you carry on with your evening. Trustees, do you have questions?
Thank you. It's amazing work that you're all doing, so we're all in this together.
Wonderful. So I have one question and then we'll let you go. Seeing what we've done, I remember when this was just coming to fruition at John Barsby. Is there anything else that's been replicated like this elsewhere in Island Health?
Just after John Barsby Wellness Center opened, there is a similar type of program that is occurring out of Belmont Secondary School in Langford. It developed slightly differently, and the services are slightly different, but a similar kind of framework. So I think it is something that we should be replicating more. And I hope that by the fact that we can, see the value of this, and that people see the value of this by giving awards, of course, that this will allow us to move forward in a way that really will allow us to do more of this going forward, for sure. I think it's a very necessary service for our youth.
Agreed. Thank you.
Oh,
Trustee
some
Bridget
questions?
has a question.
Thank you. Through the chair to Dr. Ruda. I certainly agree with you, Dr. Ruda. I'd certainly love to see more of these kinds of projects. I'm just wondering, with COVID and the changes that are occurring in our schools right now, how things are going. Any particular difficulties, anything we can do to support you guys right now, and just how numbers are going?
I think, of course, the initial struggles were, everyone was up, we were all in upheaval right at the time. What do we do? How do we do, things like that. I think everyone's really adapted super well. I always find it interesting because the schools will tell me that I'm allowed to go in the school, but the parent isn't. But, I just a couple weeks ago, I spent a couple of hours outside of school getting a little bit chilly, seeing a family, and everyone from the school was there with their big coats and gloves on and hats on, and we sat outside and we had our little consultation. So, we can be flexible and we can make these things work. So, yeah, I think that's the great part, is that we figure it out and we just keep going. So, and of course we can do some things by Zoom or virtual care. So that's
Great.
always
Wonderful.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Stanley?
Thank you. I agree. This is incredibly important work, and I'm wondering, I would love to see more, and you brought that up actually. So, is there a way, or what do you see? What are the barriers? What do you think the steps we could take? How do we get more?
Well, I think with the pandemic, some things have had to slow down a little bit. Some of the people responsible for the services within the Wellness Center are also those mighty nurses that are not only testing for COVID, but also rolling out the ginormous vaccine process. And, I have heard that they haven't had a day off for weeks or months. So, this is hard to do much more program development when all of that is going on. But, if we could, it would be great to have, say, a wellness center in every secondary school, because these things are always sometimes, they're limited by the staff that we happen to have. And of course, nurses right now are in short supply, as I just said. But we are actually on the verge of being able to have funding from our Nanaimo District Hospital Foundation to provide 1 or 2 medical vans. And if we can, again, kind of get this rolling, again, needing our public health folks to kind of be part of that, we will be able to, say, have a mobile clinic, and go from school to school potentially. We have the doctors, the nurses, would be part of an existing team, and that would be something that could at least start us off, and of course prevents us from having to be in the school, right? It sort of still keeps it kind of separate with the restrictions that are on. So we're hoping that that's going to happen soon. I can't say when. And I think the primary care initiative, the primary care child, youth and family service I just described, that is in its very early stages, and I think this has the potential to really provide a lot of service. And the interesting thing is the funding was initially through COVID funding, and it was only to be for 3 months. But the Nanaimo Division of Family Practice has actually included this program going forward in what they call the Primary Care Network Plan. And that means that they will, this service will continue and hopefully be able to expand through that. So I think that has a lot of potential to bring more family physicians, maybe more pediatricians into it. And we just need to kind of figure out how it's all going to work itself out with, where people are and locations and things like that. So the great thing is that teachers and staff at schools are really, really interested in being part of that and supporting it, and doing that interaction with between sort of health and school, family. And so I think it's just perfect. Makes it work.
Wonderful. Thank you. Do you have a follow-up, Trustee Stanley?
No, I guess it's just one more thing to look forward to once the pandemic is over.
Yes, we don't want to lose track of this after the pandemic is over, for sure. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Superintendent Saywell?
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Chair McKay. Thank you, by the way, Chair McKay, for starting us off with your beautiful words recognizing Pink Shirt Day and focusing our efforts on treating each other with dignity and respect each and every day of the year. And how fitting that we get to be recognized for an award that says working towards improving children's rights in ways that encourage love for children, listening to children, fostering healthy children's lives, and building capacities in children. Thank you, Dr. Arruda. On behalf of the senior management team, I want to extend my appreciation for your work and your team's work on the wellness centers. You've done such great work, and you're a friend of the district, and we've seen you many times. And we're so pleased that you're with us again this evening and recognizing all the good work that you've done in the John Barsby and ND catchment communities. Heichka, thank you, and nice to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. So on behalf of the board, Dr. Arruda, thank you so much. I can't really follow Superintendent Saywell. He said it all for me.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here, and congratulations.
Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.
Good night.
Hopefully in person.
Yes, hopefully. Good night.
Take care. Okay, so moving on in our agenda, we will move into our correspondence section. 11.1, building seamless childcare. So the motion is that the Board of Education of School District number 68, Nanaimo Ladysmith, refer the above correspondence from N. Rigsby, D. Hopper, J. Byfield, and J. Hine to be received and filed. Is there a mover? Moved by Trustee Brzovic, seconded by Trustee Barron. Is there any objection to the motion? Seeing none, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Trustee Keller?
Sorry, Chair, I missed it. I just was going to ask a question, make a comment, if that's okay, about the letter.
We don't discuss the content of the letters during our correspondence. We just discuss the intent to move the motion. So
I
that we've
support
missed
the motion. Yes, thank you. If that's okay, I just was going to ask a question related to the topic of the letter. Okay, bring that up at the time. Okay.
Thank you. It's not the time on the agenda. I apologize. Thank you. 11.2, Ombudsperson, Province of British Columbia, that the Board of Education of School District number 68, Nanaimo Ladysmith, refer the above correspondence from the Ombudsperson to be received and filed. Is there a mover? It's been moved by Trustee Wilkinson, seconded by Trustee O'Neill. Is there any objection to the motion? Seeing no objection, the motion carries unanimously.
Sorry, Chair, just a point of order.
Yes.
If Trustee Keller wishes to discuss the content of the letter, sorry, I was trying to type and I couldn't get off before you moved on, he could request to have it moved to new business, if you would like, to have a discussion on the content of the letter. Thank you.
Trustee Keller, are you interested in that motion?
Thanks, Chair. That's okay. I appreciate Trustee Higginson's point of order to clarify for next time, and I'll just find another opportunity to raise the topic of childcare, and I believe that's coming up in the future. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. 11.3, NDTA letter regarding advertising in front of NDSS. So the motion with regard to the correspondence itself is that the Board of Education of School District number 68, Nanaimo Ladysmith, refer the above correspondence from the NDTA to the board chair for response. Okay, so I have a mover for the motion, Trustee Stanley, regarding the action on the correspondence, seconded by Trustee Barron. And I can look at your second motion upon conclusion of this motion regarding the correspondence to be written by the chair. Did you want to speak to the motion, Trustee Stanley, on the correspondence itself?
No, thank you. I'll speak to the secondary part afterwards.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, so is there any discussion on the motion or questions? Seeing none, I will ask if there's any objection to the motion to refer the correspondence to the board chair for response. Seeing none, the motion carries. Trustee Stanley, you wanted to move a motion to refer to new business?
Yes, please. Yes, I would like to ask that the board move the content of the letter for discussion under new business, please.
Okay, moved by Trustee Stanley, seconded by Trustee Berzovich. Any discussion on that, or?
Sorry, from me? No.
Yes.
I can.
If you'd wish to
I
motivate.
think it's an important topic that was raised by the NDTA. I'm happy for you to respond to the letter, but I think the content and issue raised needs discussion.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on the motion to refer to new business? Seeing none, is there any objection to referring this item to new business? The motion carries, and so the item will be added to 15.2. Okay, committee reports. I'm smiling because Trustee Keller is going to do a lot of reading this evening. 12.1.1 Forest Park Elementary School Waterworks Rights of Way Bylaw 2021. Trustee Keller?
Thank you, Chair McKay. So yes, I will be doing a lot of reading this evening. We have two bylaws under consideration coming from the Business Committee. The first is our Forest Park Elementary School Waterworks Rights of Way. So of the four motions, I'll read the first one, and it reads as follows: that the Board of Education of School District number 68, Nanaimo Ladysmith, give all three readings of the bylaw cited as Forest Park Elementary School Rights of Way Bylaw 2021 at one meeting today, February 24th, 2021.
Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Trustee Barron. Did you want to speak to it, Trustee Keller?
Just briefly, if that's okay. So as we discussed at the Business Committee meeting, the City of Nanaimo is looking to do some infrastructure improvements and have requested that the board grant a right-of-way to allow for that work to occur.
Great, thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question on the first motion. Is there any objection to the first reading? Seeing none, the motion carries. I'll need someone to move it a second time.
So Chair McKay, just for clarification, would you like me to read the second motion?
The person who's going to read the second portion should move it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Trustee Wilkinson, do you have it in front of you?
I don't have it in front of me, sorry.
Okay. That the Board of Education of School District 68, Nanaimo Ladysmith, adopt a bylaw cited as Forest Park Elementary School Waterworks Rights of Way Bylaw 2021, read a second time this 24th day of February 2021. This is the motion you wish to move, Trustee Wilkinson?
Yes.
And is there a second? Trustee Keller? Thank you. Is there any objection to the second reading?
We didn't read the whole bylaw.
Mr. Walsh, was there further information to read in the first reading?
Sorry, Madam Chair, I don't understand that we actually did a full reading of the first reading.
Okay.
So there was the motion for, the motion for the bylaw, and then there was the second reading. So I don't understand that we actually did a full reading of the first reading.
Okay.
So there was the motion for, the motion for the bylaw, and then there was the second reading. So there was the motion for the bylaw, and then there was the second reading. So there was the motion for the bylaw, and then there was the second reading. So there was the motion for the bylaw, and then there was the second reading. So there was the motion for the bylaw, and then there was the second reading. So there was the motion for the bylaw, and then there was the second reading. So there was the motion for the bylaw, and then there was the second reading. So there was the motion for the bylaw, and then there was the second reading. So there was the motion for the bylaw, and then there was the second reading. So there was the motion for the bylaw, and then there was the second reading. So there was the motion for the bylaw, and then there was the second reading. So there was the motion for the bylaw, and then there was the second reading. So there was the motion for the bylaw, and then there was the second re for unanimity and the evening, and then there'll be the full reading of the first, the full reading of the second, and the full reading of the third.
So we've had the full reading of the first.
Chair
Okay.
McKay, if you like, I have them
see where
already.
I see where you are. Okay. So as a point of process, we're going back. Trustee Keller, I'm going to move backwards and allow you to restart.
Thank you, Chair McKay. So as I understand, please correct me if I'm wrong, we have unanimously supported moving forward with 3 readings on the bylaw this evening. That was our first motion.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. So I'll move on to the second motion. I'll read the bylaw. So whereas section 65(5) of the School Act provides that a Board of Education may exercise a power with respect to the acquisition or disposal of property owned or administered by the board only by bylaw, and whereas the Board of Education of School District number 68, Nanaimo Ladysmith, the board, owns the Forest Park Elementary School site, the property. The property is facility number 68037. The address of the property is 2040 and 2050 Latimer Road, Nanaimo, British Columbia, Victor 9 Sierra 2 Whiskey 5. And the legal description of the property is parcel identifier 000255696, Lot A, Section 17, Range 7, Mountain District, Plan 33741. Parcel identifier 008882177, Lot 5, Block 8, Section 17, Range 7, Mountain District, Plan 526. And lastly, parcel identifier 008881987, Lot 7, Block 8, Section 17, Range 7, Mountain District, Plan 526. City of Nanaimo, the city has asked the board to grant the city a specific statutory right-of-way. The specific right-of-way in respect of a water line, the works, located as shown on Schedule A, a copy of which is attached here too, and a blanket ancillary access statutory right-of-way for access to the works together with the specific right-of-way, the rights-of-way. The board is satisfied that the works will benefit the board and that granting of the rights-of-way will not interfere with the board's use of the property for educational purposes. Now, therefore, be it resolved as a bylaw that the board grant the rights of way. Be it further resolved as a bylaw that the Secretary Treasurer be and is hereby authorized on behalf of the board to execute and deliver all documents required to complete the granting of the rights of way on such terms and conditions as the Secretary Treasurer may consider advisable, as witnessed by the signature of the Secretary Treasurer. This bylaw may be cited as School District number 68, Nanaimo Ladysmith Forest Park Elementary School Waterworks Rights of Way Bylaw 2021, read a first time this 24th day of February 2021.
Moved by Trustee Keller. Well done.
Story time. I like it.
My apologies for the confusion. Do we have a second? Seconded by Trustee Barron. Thank you. Did you want to motivate this?
I don't believe it requires any additional motivation, so.
Thank you. So I will call the question on the first reading. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, seeing no one opposed, the motion carries. I'll call on Trustee Barron to read the second reading.
Sure, thank you, Chair.
that the Board of Education of School District Number 68, Nanaimo Ladysmith, adopt the bylaw cited as Forest Park Elementary School Waterworks Right of Way Bylaw 2020, read a second time this 24th day of February 2021.
And a second on the second reading. Seconded by Trustee Keller. Is there any objection to the second reading? Seeing none, the motion carries. Trustee Stanley for the third reading.
Yes, thank you. That the Board of Education of School District Number 68, Nanaimo Ladysmith, adopt the bylaw cited as Forest Park Elementary School Waterworks Right of Way, Bylaw 2021, read a third time and adopted this 24th day of February 2021.
Thank you. Seconded by Trustee Berzovich. And one final call, is there any objection to the third reading? Seeing none, the motion carries. Great, thank you. Okay, Trustee Keller, 12.1.2. Let it be said that my notes are now correct and I know what we're doing. Go ahead, Trustee Keller.
Thank you. So moving on to our amended annual budget. Again, we have 4 motions to consider. The first motion reads as follows: that the Board of Education of School District Number 68, Nanaimo Ladysmith, give the School District Number 68, Nanaimo Ladysmith 2020-2021 amended annual budget bylaw, all 3 readings at 1 meeting today, February 24th, 2020.
And the second, please. Seconded by Trustee Robinson. Is there any objection to the motion? Seeing no objections, the motion carries. Thank you. Trustee Keller.
Thank you. I'll move on to our second motion for first reading of the bylaw. It reads as follows: a bylaw of the Board of Education of School District Number 68, Nanaimo Ladysmith, called the Board, to adopt the amended annual budget for the fiscal year 2020-2021 pursuant to Section 113 of the School Act, RS-BC 1996 C412, as amended from time to time, called the Act. 1. That the Board has complied with the provisions of the Act respecting the amended annual budget adopted by bylaw. 2. That the bylaw be cited as School District Number 68, Nanaimo Ladysmith amended annual budget bylaw for fiscal year 2020-21. 3. The attached statement 2 showing the estimated revenue and expense for the 2020-2021 fiscal year and the total budget bylaw in the amount of $181,495,237 for the 2020 and 2021 fiscal year was prepared in accordance with the Act. 4. Statement 2, 4, and Schedules 1 to 4 are adopted as the amended annual budget of the Board for the fiscal year 2020-2021. Read a first time this 24th day of February 2021.
Thank you, Trustee Keller. Do we have a second? Seconded by Trustee Stanley. Is there any objection to the reading? No objection, the motion carries. Trustee Stanley?
Thank you. Just making sure I've got it up on my screen here. Okay. A bylaw of the Board of Education of School District Number 68, Nanaimo Ladysmith, called the Board to adopt the amended annual budget of the Board for the fiscal year 2020-2021 pursuant to Section 113 of the School Act, RSBC 1996 C412, as amended from time to time, called the Act, read a second time this 24th day of February 2021.
Thank you, Trustee Stanley. Is there a second? Trustee Keller has seconded the motion. Is there any objection to the motion? Seeing none, the motion carries. So I'm looking for a third reader. Trustee Barron?
Sure, thank you, Chair. Okay. A bylaw of the Board of Education of School District Number 68, Nanaimo Ladysmith, called the board to adopt the amended annual budget of the board for the fiscal year 2020-2021 pursuant to Section 113 of the School Act, RSBC 1996 C412, as amended from time to time, called the Act, read a third time and adopted this 24th day of February 2021.
Great, thank you. That's been seconded by Trustee Stanley. And so I'll call the question on the third reading. Is there any objection to the third reading? Seeing no objection, the motion carries. Thank you, Trustee Keller. Okay, we don't have anything from the Education Committee this evening, so we'll move into senior staff reports. 13.1, Superintendent Scott Sewell with a COVID-19 update.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, on page 65 of your document, I have a variety of updates concerning Nanaimo Ladysmith Public Schools and COVID-19. To begin, I'd like to chat a little bit about last few weeks have been challenging for us and our South End schools. 7 of our schools in the South End had exposures, and 3 of those schools, Bayview Elementary, Quam, and Rock City, experienced outbreaks. Presently, there are 11 Vancouver Island schools on the school exposure list, and we still have 2 schools on that list. Ladysmith Secondary School, which will be removed on March 4th, and Mountain View Elementary School will be removed on March 2nd if there are no further exposures. I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize our executive director of communications, Dale Burgos, as well as all of the staff involved in doing the contact tracing. As I said, we had a rough spell there that we are now completely through, but I do want to recognize that team of contact tracers, because what tends to happen after that first exposure is recognized and students and staff are isolating, exposures that follow that initial exposure are more often than not already self-isolating. So they've done a really good job of identifying those high-risk exposures. So kudos to that team, particularly Dale Burgos for his work. On February 4th, the ministry came out with new guidelines. So we've put those guidelines into place. So great work by our learning services team, our what we call our emergency operations committee, to put those guidelines into effect in schools. And on the bottom of page 65 and 66, just sort of the highlights of those new protocols in schools. And while there are a number of protocols, what this has also done is that it's had us recommit to the protocols that were already in place and working. And it really caused us to audit the great work that's been happening in schools. So, and then tightening up a few things about mask wearing at secondary schools, and work in music classes and PE are sort of the predominant issues. Just adhering to just recognizing the need for space in music classrooms and PE classrooms. So a recommitment to the protocols that are working. Perhaps some good news, Nanaimo Ladysmith Public Schools, along with 4 other school districts in the province, have been recognized as regional rapid response teams. So I'm working with the likes of our manager of operations, health and safety, Will Dirksen, and again, executive director of communications, Dale Burgos, along with Dr. Dee Hoyano and Dr. Sandra Allison, to put together a team that will act as a rapid response team to work on issues around prevention and intervention, and to help other school districts on the island with COVID-19. Other school districts who have been recognized as rapid response teams include Peace River North, Vancouver, Central Okanagan, and Surrey school districts. So we have to supply the ministry with our proposal by the end of this week, and so we're working towards that. Next item is just kudos to Zaid Merchant and his team in the IS department for coming up with a really easy way to do staff daily health checks. And what they've done is create an app for our phones. So myself and other staff members around the district, when we enter our work site in the morning, it's quite easy. We don't have to log on anywhere. I just click an app on my phone. I go through the checklist and ensure that I'm healthy and ready for work for the day. And then that goes to, all of those health checks go to a central office. So thank you again to Zaid Merchant, head of the IS department. Finally, on page 67, we've talked many times about some of our concerns around supporting students' learning during COVID-19. I've mentioned a couple times at education committee meetings the challenge. We have a great number of students who have chosen, and their families have chosen, to go to distributed learning this year during COVID. And the great challenge it is to keep up with studies as a family at home, and not entirely left to their own devices. They have lots of support from distributed learning program, Island Connect Ed, and at times they can pop into the school. But we are losing some families who, in my estimation, weren't prepared quite for homeschooling. We also have a number of families who have, for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is they may have immunocompromised family members at home. They're not attending as regularly as they should be. So in our efforts to reconnect those families with education, we have put in, on page 67, you'll see the elementary supports we've put in place. So you'll see 3.0 full-time equivalent, essentially outwork teachers to work with families at home. Secondary supports, somewhat similar, although you see at the top of the list, we've added some staff to Island Connect Ed. This has been done at regular interviews throughout the year as more and more families choose DL as their best option this year. We added 5 full-time equivalent staff members recently. And more recently, yesterday or the day before, we added 3 new staff members to keep up with the demand at Island Connect Ed. And then you'll see the middle part of that sheet is the 4.5 full-time equivalent staff members that we've added to each and every secondary school to help with outreach, and again, connecting students back to school who are kind of chronic non-attenders. And then a little staffing you can see to learning alternative staff for the same reason, connecting students back to school, and some release time for our Island Connect Ed teachers to continue to modernize their courses. We went from 350 full-time equivalent students to, I think we're close to 1,400 full-time equivalent students now in Island Connect Ed. So we have a lot of new teachers teaching for the first time in a distributed learning school. So we're providing a little time to help those teachers modernize their courses. With that, that brings me to the end of my report this evening. Thank you very much, and I'm available for questions as well. I think we have Deputy Superintendent Tim Davey here this evening.
Great, thank you. So I will start. First, in expressing my thanks for the information around a variety of areas, but also just Superintendent, I appreciate that you're acknowledging those that have done some really good work to help support us through these times as well. I wanted to share with trustees that upon coming into the board office today, I actually tried, I didn't try the app, but there's a QR code on the door before you come in. You put your camera to it. It asks you to take a look at the list and sign in with my district email, and there you have it. I'm checked in, healthy for the day. And so I appreciate how easy that was for me to do, given that I didn't even have the app downloaded. So my compliments all around to how well this is working. Thank you for that. We have our first question this evening from Trustee Keller.
Thank you, Chair McKay. Through you to probably Superintendent Saywell or perhaps others. Just curious, with the number of students that we're now seeing in our ICE program, how are we planning ahead for next September and, you know, students potentially wanting to return to their bricks and mortar schools? So are we saving space in their catchment school, or how is that working, and what are the critical deadlines for parents to have to make a decision?
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Chair. Great question. It's part of our challenge this year as you know, vaccinations roll out, and we hope that we are going to be in stage 1 come September if vaccinations roll out in the way that's been planned. But it is one of our challenges going into the new year to ascertain who's going to end up where in bricks and mortar schools or in DL programs. And to one of your questions, we've saved a seat for each and every student in their home school, in their bricks and mortar school. And as for deadlines, maybe Mr. Davey can help us out with deadlines as to when parents and students have to make a decision on that. There are, you know, typically out of catchment deadlines, which we're not talking about. And so unless we've created a date, Mr. Davey, students within catchment have, we're assuming they're coming back and they can opt back in at any time.
Yes, thank you, Superintendent, through you, Madam Chair. We have created a date for families to make decision about returning back. That would be posted on our district website for families to take note of, as well as on the Island Connect Ed website. So families should have a look at the calendar at those dates, but definitely is one of our biggest challenges, as has been noted, is just trying to determine projections for bricks and mortar schools versus our staffing needs for Island Connect Ed.
May have a follow-up.
Mr. Walsh, and then your follow-up question.
Through Madam Chair, just want to add to the superintendent's comments that just for transparency's sake, though, that if an individual student at this point is in ICE next September, we don't plan at this time to maintain that seat for them for an additional year. So they couldn't come in and out next year at this point, where as per our enrollment projections, we are planning for those students to be back. If all of a sudden they're not, then we will staff accordingly. But if we get to September, if there's room, obviously, just like any other prior to COVID year, we would allow a student in a school. But if there's not, and they chose ICE at the beginning of the year, they may well not have a space in that school to come back to.
Thank you. Your follow-up question, Trustee Keller?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Sort of in relation to Secretary Treasurer Walsh answered part of this, but I just so I have a full understanding. So does that imply that we'll have a budget coming forward that is not going to account for changes from ICE to bricks and mortar after September?
Secretary Treasurer.
Sorry, Superintendent, did you want to comment? Through you, Madam Chair. So at this point, the budget that we, as per our enrollment projections, are projecting students to be coming back into schools. That's the basis of it. If our numbers following the date that the Deputy Superintendent Davey has suggested have the individuals enrolled in ICE, then we would be budgeting less in schools. And so the budget that will be coming to the board for contemplation will be our best estimates of student enrollment in each program as of when we've created the budget after coming to the board. But we wouldn't have additional funds to hold additional seats in schools as well as fund seats at ICE in September.
Does that answer your question? Thank you. Trustee Stanley is next.
Thank you. So through the chair to Superintendent Saywell, I got the impression from your report that we have students that are continuing to, like students that are transferring from bricks and mortar to online learning throughout the year. So I just wanted to clarify, is that true? And to what extent are we having movement from our physical schools to online learning?
Yeah, thanks. A great question. Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, to Trustee Stanley. In a typical year, we would have students moving in both directions where space is available. And in a year where we have, when we're in a semester system, secondary students who can be cross-enrolled can move at any time, of course, but they typically move at the beginning of the year and at semester changeover. So they can drop a course and take it in DL. Now, as in a quarter system, there's sort of 4 major points in the year where they can take a course online. And I've said a few times that every student who graduates in the Nanaimo Ladysmith Public Schools has at least a course or 2 that they've taken online because they can be cross-enrolled. So throughout the year, and it's typically secondary schools, secondary students who do this, but on occasion, we're still getting some elementary students who are opting for DL mid-year as well, for a variety of reasons.
Do you have a follow-up, Trustee Stanley?
I do. Yes, thank you. So, so to Superintendent Saywell through the chair, would you say that the movement that we're seeing is consistent with previous years, or is there a COVID influence that you can let us know about?
I don't have the up-to-date numbers, and I don't know if Mr. Davey does, but I would surmise that there is a COVID influence.
Okay.
And perhaps I can do better than that, and I can get back to the board with actual numbers in the future. Break that down and the differences.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Higginson.
Thank you. Thanks for the information and to staff for all the work over the past month. It's certainly been busy. Let's hope we don't have to continue that amount of work in that way. I appreciate the information on the students that we have who are not engaging in the efforts that are being made to re-engage them. That's really, really important, critical work, especially as we move into budget. Knowing how many students we have who have not engaged in, formal schooling will really impact our planning for next year. But I'm wondering about the information we have about the students who are coming to school. And I'm wondering if we have looked over, we're into Q3 now, achievement rates for the quarter system. If we're seeing comparable achievement rates, increase, less. I'm also wondering how they're doing. How are students in school doing? I'm wondering if we're checking in with them through our own forms of check-ins, not just the student satisfaction survey. So I wonder if we have that information, and if we don't have it, Can we get it?
Superintendent?
Yeah, perhaps Mr. Davey would like to start on success.
Okay, thank you. And through you, Madam Chair, just it's a good question. As you've stated, we are in Q3 at the secondary schools now, and I think that is something that we can make an effort to dig into is the data in terms of success. As has been pointed out, a lot of our attention has been focused on students who are either not attending or just ensuring that we're providing adequate staffing and numbers for students who are within our schools right now. So it's a great point that's raised by Trustee Higginson, and certainly something that we should be digging into. So I would anticipate that we would report back to the board.
Maybe I'll just add, if that's okay, Chair,
Yes.
that we are, along with Mr. Burgos, Communications Officer, we are looking at surveying families in the near future around success this year and some of the issues around that. We do know that we have a large number of students who aren't engaged. And so one of two things is happening right now. We have some students who we've made contact with, and we have some information from the family about those students who aren't actively engaging. And then we have, we were unable to reach a number of families. But here's how those numbers break down. We have, in those two categories, we have 121 students at secondary that we've that aren't really involved in an educational program. That's significant. 11 students at ICE and 174 elementary students that I would say we're worried about. So either we have a connection with the family or we don't, but they're not doing very well in school this year.
Do you have a follow-up, Trustee Higginson?
No, well, yes, sorry. Yes. Thank you for the information. Those are, big numbers. And I also do think, though, beyond just the kids who aren't engaging, things, this I hope will be part of our board discussion in our budget is preparing for the students even that are engaging and making because I don't know how it's going for them. This is a really stressful year for students, and I don't know how that's going. There's a lot of noise, a lot for them to be processing in the public and as they're going to school that has an impact on them and their social and emotional well-being and the changes that have been made to the school. So just, I'm hoping that we'll have this information so that we can do some thoughtful planning for next year. This year, to no one's fault, has been such a rapid response that having the opportunity to try our best to do some thoughtful planning to address the situation that we may be facing next year, which is unprecedented. I know we're not allowed to say that word anymore, but it will be. Some of the learning challenges we're going to be facing next year, we need to get in front of those. So I'm looking forward to having that information for our budget discussion. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Are there any further trustee questions for Superintendent Saywell or Deputy Superintendent Davey? Okay, I'm not seeing any questions, so I would just like to thank you both for the work that's going in and ensuring that we're able to be responsive to changes that happen fairly quickly and for the success that we're having so far and identifying those that need us the most right now. Thank you very much. So we have no unfinished business for the evening. Under new business, we'll be moving into 15.1, pay equity. Secretary Treasurer Walsh.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this evening, just wanting to raise the issue of pay equity. And we talked very briefly about this in a recent board meeting about funding levels for our particular school district. And the reason it's relatively pressing is our government will be making determinations on how it's going to be funding public education for next year. We understand that process might be slightly delayed, but we can anticipate those discussions are happening right now. And we wanted to raise an issue with the board for consideration, and that is the issue of pay equity. So just as background for those that are watching and for the board is pay equity is the idea, it's the principle that is defined as equal pay for work of equal value. And traditionally in the education sector, work that is predominantly female dominated, so our educational assistants and our secretarial staff, was paid slightly less than work that was predominantly male dominated, custodial work, some of that support work that was happening. And so our district in the early 90s took this step of getting those groups up to a level of pay equity. Quite progressive, quite advanced for the sector. So for instance, it gave raises of, I believe it's 21% for EAs, 10% for Secretary 2s, and 17% for Secretary 3s in 1992. So our district has been at pay equity for many years. And in the late 90s, the government, however, realized that this was an issue in education and took steps to get districts on the path to pay equity. And so they actually had funding available for districts to have pay equity. And what they did was they set these rates that they gave to districts dependent on their need. And in the case of Nanaimo, Nanaimo Ladysmith, we were already there. And so we got a negligible amount from these dollars. Other districts, were not quite as far along towards pay equity and got significantly larger amounts than our district on a per capita basis. So essentially a district that's the same size as ours is likely to have the same staff as ours, is likely to have a similar complement of staff. So really our pay equity issue should be equal, but across the province there is disparity. Some districts got very little because they must have done something similar to Nanaimo Ladysmith. Some districts got more. And it's not necessarily about other districts, except for we are now talking about up to 20 years of Nanaimo Ladysmith receiving significantly less on a grant for really no other reason than Nanaimo was quicker to the punch to get to pay equity. So for very positive reason, there's a negative outcome. And so when we think about the public school system, we are largely funded from an equitable principle. So our dominant source of funding is the amount of students that we have. So if you count the number of students in our district versus the number of students in district number 999, it shouldn't matter, we're going to get the same amount per student. There's some geographical differences. There's some pay differential depending on if our average teacher salary is higher, but these all have very clear formulas. And so for the most part, every formula is understandable and knowable to all districts and done on an equitable basis. The exception to that rule is the Classroom Enhancement Fund, which is based off of what it would have taken a district to get back to collective agreement language that was largely negotiated in the early 1990s. But for that, it's based off of collective agreement language. And so some districts get a little bit more, some get a little bit less. Nanaimo is largely in the middle of the pack when it comes to a percentage of our operating from CEF perspective. But pay equity is just glaring. And if we look at our summary of grants to date, our pay equity totals are negligible compared to comparable school districts. And so we thought, given it's been 20 years, and if you add up the potential teachers and staff and support we could have had in districts because of that disparity, we thought that it's important to bring it to the board's attention and contemplate considering writing to seek a solution to this particular issue. The final thing, perhaps before stopping to answer questions, is This was one of the recommendations of the funding review group. So this group did suggest that pay equity should be rolled into the normal block, and so that it would be divided equally. What staff is not suggesting, however, though, is given that some districts probably rely on this funding to support their activities, we would recommend if the board was to take action, it would include a recommendation to the ministry, if that's the case, that no board should be negatively impacted. So, for instance, Prince George is a good example that we use as a comparable. We would be getting, they get over $2 million. If we were to be brought to $2 million, it shouldn't be at the expense of a Prince George coming down in cost. But again, very significant disparity ongoing, and thought we should bring it to the board's attention for consideration.
Great. Thank you very much. Do we have questions on this topic from trustees? Trustee Stanley?
Thank you. First, I'd like to commend Secretary Treasurer Walsh for answering all of my questions throughout his presentation. So I actually don't have a question to bring forward because he was so incredibly thorough in his information sharing. I am grateful for staff bringing this issue forward. It is concerning that our school district is in a situation of, I mean, this is a situation of inequity, right? And so receiving less funds in a situation because we've acted well, right? And so I know that there's other issues of inequity across the province that could, you know, have some concerns about. But this one is a situation where our school district is being punished for acting well, or if you want to look at it differently, it's rewarding bad behavior of not addressing pay equity. So I do think that this, you know, after 20 years and after a considerable amount of funding differences, that could be brought to the attention and asked to be addressed in a way that is, you know, reasonable and will support all school districts. So I am in favor of this, bringing, you know, however we choose to respond, and maybe that will be decided, write a letter, figure out a response. But at the core, this has the potential to bring a significant amount of money into our classrooms. And I think that's really important. So pay equity I'm proud to be from a school district that addressed this 20 years ago. But I also would like to see the issue of, you know, I don't want to be punished for making good progressive decisions.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Higginson?
Thanks. My only suggestion is, you know, I suspect the budget's being written now, and I appreciate the attempts at this. So while I think, you know, let's do it, let's write the letter. So I support it. I do think that the board should consider making this a recommendation to the Select Standing Committee on Finance when it comes out, and making a submission there. We've already come up against a couple of other issues of funding because of things that we do uniquely in NLPS. So I think we should start making a list and making our own submission for the Select Standing Committee on Finance, which will be probably coming up in June. Now, so thinking about those things for us, I think would be smart to do with this situation and with other ones we've already talked about this year.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other speakers? So there is a recommendation that's been put before the board, and perhaps what I'll do is I'll read the recommendation, and if the board chooses to move it, then they can. So the recommendation is as follows: that the Board of Education of School District number 68, Nanaimo Ladysmith, write to the Minister of Education requesting that the pay equity supplement be rolled into the operating grant block for the 2021-22 school year and distributed equally, and that the block is increased so that districts currently receiving a disproportionately higher amount of pay equity funds are not negatively impacted. And so I see that this has been moved by Trustee Brzovic and seconded by Trustee Stanley. Trustee Brzovic, would you like to motivate the motion?
Thank you, Chair. I'll keep it very brief. Just as has been said, I'm proud to be part of a district that was progressive in taking on this issue. I do think, however, that it is important that we receive that support from the ministry in acknowledgement of that work. And I don't think that it is fair that we are essentially, as Trustee Stanley said, being punished for being ahead of the curve.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on the motion? Okay, I'm not seeing any further discussion, so I'll call the question. Is there any objection to the motion? With no objections, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Secretary Treasurer. Moving on to 15.2, which we moved into new business earlier. Trustee Stanley.
Hi, thank you, Chair. What I'd like to do, if it pleases the Chair, is to move a motion, hoping for a second, and then I will motivate afterwards.
Go ahead.
Okay, gotta find the right. Okay, that the Board of Education of School District number 68, Nanaimo Ladysmith, requests that the board chair write a letter to the Creative Outdoor Advertising Company to request the removal of the Crossroads Pregnancy Center advertisement outside of NDSS, and to request that the Creative Outdoor Advertising Company not place advertisements from the Crossroads Pregnancy Center adjacent to the property of Nanaimo Ladysmith Public Schools.
And I see that it's been seconded by Trustee Barron. Go ahead with your motivation.
So I will do my best to be brief on this, and I am happy to elaborate on every single comment that I make with research that I've done. But as someone who has done sexual health, both research and education, this is something I feel strongly about. Outside of NDSS, right outside of the bus stop, there is an advertisement from, as I mentioned, a Crossroads Pregnancy Support Center. This group provides values-based reproductive information that is, and they themselves say on their website, and I have checked out their website, that it should not be relied upon as a substitute for professional medical advice, and that's a quote. And I'll tell you that when I saw this advertisement, I drove almost all around Nanaimo on some major bus routes to see if there was this advertisement anywhere else. And I saw it nowhere else besides right outside of our high school. And so it concerns me that the location is targeted. I am concerned when we have a place service that provides biased information, that is undermining to well-being. And I don't believe that I should ever be in a position or place to tell someone what to do with their own body and their own choices. But I do firmly believe that our students should be given unbiased, science-based information so that they can make choices that are right for themselves. And we do have that service here in Nanaimo. We have Nanaimo Options for Sexual Health, and they provide science-based sexual and reproductive health services and professional medical advice, and provide information on a full spectrum of services. So I want to contrast to and I did research the Crossroads work that they do, and I'm not going to go into detail unless people want me to, but I reviewed their videos and I reviewed their information, and I found them to be biased. A lot of it in omission of information, but also biased in the sense of the way that the information was presented. And I would actually call it manipulative in a really concerning way. So we know from the research on sexual and reproductive health, we know that when sexual health education provides only partial information, that this actually leads to increased risks of negative outcomes for youth. So we know that there is harm or increased risk of harm for youth when they are given values-based reproductive or sexual health information. So I'm concerned that this advertisement was, targeted to our students right outside of our school. I'm concerned that this students, perhaps in a vulnerable situation, may come across this information and And we know that evidence shows that when students receive biased information or incomplete information, that it is associated with increased risk for well-being and health. And so, in my opinion, having this here puts student at risk for harm. And so I would like us to request that, as the motion says, that this particular advertisement be removed and that they not advertise it directly in front of our schools.
Thank you. Just want to make sure that that was your conclusion.
I'm happy to answer any questions and challenges on what I have to say because I've got all the research to back me up.
Thank you, Trustee Stanley. Trustee Barron?
Yes, thank you through the chair. I just wanted to first thank the NDTA for bringing this matter to our attention. I did not see this advertisement, so I'm thankful that we have this team surrounding us who can bring items to our attention when it may or may not have been caught. I'm also thankful to Trustee Stanley for bringing this motion forward for us to discuss further. I think that this is important for us to discuss in more detail beyond just the correspondence. I do think that any time that we have an advertisement that is near our NLPS schools, it is targeting our students. And this advertisement is located directly outside of our schools and because of its location, it is targeting our students. Targeting students who may be seeking support around pregnancy and advertising a center that does not respect our students' right to choose the option that fits best for them and their bodies is, as the NDTA states, it's deeply unethical and undermines women's health. I'm speaking strongly in support of this motion in order to protect our students and ensure they are being provided with options that support their right to be informed and to make the decision that fits best for them. So I'm thankful for this motion and I am very strongly in support of it.
Thank you, Trustee Barron. Trustee Higginson?
Thank you. Just to add that it's not an amendment or anything, but I would strongly encourage our chair to approach the NDTA to see if they want to jointly write the letter. And I don't want to make an amendment because I don't want the motion to fail if they say no, but I think it would be beneficial, and if folks want to turn this into a discussion, we can wait if they don't agree, but I think it would be beneficial since the letter was written to us by the NDTA bringing this to our attention, that perhaps they could be part of the solution as well. And I think that would continue, I mean, they're part of the solution, sorry, that came out wrong, that they would be continuing on to be part of the solution to this problem. So that's, I just encourage our chair to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Higginson. That actually was my intention. I always go last though, so you stole my thunder. That's okay. I'm just kidding. Trustee Brzovic.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not going to reiterate a bunch of the brilliant points that my colleagues have made. I would simply say that I support this motion wholeheartedly for a couple of reasons. I think that it would be very easy now that I finally found the advertisement in question for people to be mistakenly under the impression that we actually put that advertising there, and we cannot, as an educational institution, be perceived as being party to or supporting an advertisement which essentially in many ways is basically undercutting the BC curriculum, which which discusses all options that women face for pregnancy, and which the Crisis Pregnancy Center, as Trustee Stanley ably noted, does not do. So they're not providing accurate, full informed consent. That was the phrase I was looking for. And I don't think that we can allow ourselves to appear even tacitly to be okay with that. So I wholeheartedly support this motion.
Thank you. I have no other speakers on the list. Trustee Stanley, did you want to close debate?
I don't believe that I need to close debate. I just do want to, out of complete fairness, note that the Crossroads Pregnancy Center does discuss multiple options, and perhaps we can call them all options, but they do it in a way that presents the situation inaccurately, and they also do it in a way where the music, for example, when they change topics, changes to kind of scary, intense music. And so I found that although they do discuss those options, to be fair, that they present the information in a way that is biased by omission. They don't give the full information. They present it in a misleading way, and I found the music, frankly, quite manipulative. So just to be fully, provide all information. I don't think I need to close. I think that my other colleagues said everything else that I missed, which is to also thank the NDTA.
Great, thank you. All right, with debate at a closure, I will call the question. Is there anyone opposed to the motion? Seeing no objection, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Stanley. So moving into our next section for information, there's a board motions report, trustee committee reports. Were there any questions on those? Not seeing any questions on those. I'm not seeing any public questions for section 17, so I will look to trustees for a motion to adjourn. I have a motion to adjourn by Trustee Keller and seconded by Trustee Stanley. Any objection? Seeing no objection, we're adjourned for the evening at 7:30. Thank you very much, trustees.